here today. I don't think it's a coincidence, it's a divine arrangement. If we start from Isaiah 46 verse 10, we discover that the first brother here, Jeff Bumi, took us to Isaiah, our missionary took us to Isaiah, and here I have Isaiah here. Isaiah 46 verse 10 tells us, gives us an idea of who God is and what God does. And what does it say? I am the God that declares the end from the beginning. So we have a God that declares the end from the beginning. He also says that he is the beginning and the end. How do you declare the end from the beginning? How do you declare the end from the beginning? In Revelation 13 verse 8, we're told that Jesus Christ is the Lamb that was slain from the foundations of the earth. So before let there be light, before God created the heavens and the earth, Jesus Christ was already slain. That's how to declare the end from the beginning. He was slain before the foundations of the earth were laid. So what does God mean when he talks about end? Does that really give us an idea, of this concept that we talk about, the end time? Yes, it does. If we go to 2 Peter, we don't need to turn there, we're all ministers, so we have these verses. So 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, we are told that a day is like 1,000 years before God, and 1,000 years is like a day with him. That's what Peter gave us under serious function to understand what God meant in Genesis when he told Adam that the day you eat of this fruit, you shall surely die. Isn't it? Did Adam die the very day that he died, that he ate the fruit? Now it depends on what is your understanding of the word day. Because Adam did not live up to 1,000 years. And so he died before God. He died in the day he ate of the fruit. Because a day is like 1,000 years before God. And Adam died less than 1,000 years. So we see from the understanding of the scripture that from the time of Adam to when Jesus came, it's just about 4 days. Just about 4 days. From the period of Adam to Jesus. 4 days. What do we mean? 4,000 years. And from the Hebrew traditions, we understand that man was given the stewardship of the earth for just 6 days, which is what? 6,000 years. And from Adam to Jesus is six days. Before the end of that 6th day, Jesus showed up. Jesus showed up before the end of the 6 days. So 6,000 years was man given. Why? We saw that on the 6th day God created man. And from the concept of, which we all know, of the principle of the law of first mention in the Bible, wherever everything is mentioned for the first time, you use it to interpret other instances of that mention in the Bible. So for example, in Genesis chapter 1, we see that man was created on the 6th day. So from that, anywhere you see 6 in the Bible, you understand that God is talking about man. Anything 6 is talking about man. So we use that principle of the law of first mention to interpret that. So we all say that 6 is the number of man. Humanity, man was given 6 days to steward this earth. And then on the 7th day, God will take over. We also discover from the Genesis 1 that 7 is the number of God, the number of perfection. And so, from chronology, we can see now that it's 4 days from Adam to Jesus, it's 6 days from Adam to, it's 6 days from Adam to when Jesus came. Now, if we look at when Jesus came to our day, it is we are in the early morning of the 3rd day. If you look at from Adam, we are in the early morning of the 7th day. The 7th day has begun. The 3rd day has begun. The 3rd day from Jesus has begun to complete that 6 days. Now we are in the early in the morning of what? The 3rd day. In Matthew 28, we were told that on the 3rd day, the women went early in the morning. The women went to church. What does that tell us? This early morning of our 3rd day that we are in, women are going to play a very key role. Women were the first to identify and to come and to walk into the understanding that Christ is risen. And they wanted to touch him and say, no, don't touch me because I'm the high priest. I have to go before you. If you look at the do's and don'ts around the high priest and the touch the high priest. So it's morning on the 7th day from Adam. We're in the 7th day already. We are in the 3rd day from Jesus. What does this all tell? In the Bible, Paul was dedicating the temple, 120 priests were gathered. So we believe that yes, God is giving us 120 years. But if you read the Jewish Bible, you discover that that 120 is referring to what they call the Shemitah years. The Shemitah cycle is 7 years. Every 7 years, there is a Shemitah cycle in Jewish culture. So, and every 7 times 7 gives you 49 years, plus 1 is the Jubilee. So you have the Jubilee years. So every 50 years is a Jubilee in Israel. Now, by the time you multiply 50 times 120, it gives you 6,000. And so God was actually telling us that your stewardship, your action, your ministry, everything that you are to do is for 120 years. 120 years multiplied by the Jubilee years gives you 6,000. So this is the season and the time for God. We have entered the 7th day. We have entered the 3rd day, which is the day Jesus rose from the. We know that things are going to happen. Things are already happening. So in Matthew 24, where we're going to build our tent around briefly before we switch. This question or issue of the concept of the end was hovering the minds of the disciples when they went through the experiences they've had with Jesus Christ, about 3 years of their ministry with him, and the understanding of the Jewish culture, of the Shemitah years, the Shemitah cycle, the still of man, the coming of the Messiah in the 6th day. They now had to ask him, Rabbi, you talk about this, you talk about supposed to happen, but when are these things going to happen? So Matthew 24, he told them that the day is coming that these temples, these buildings will be knocked down, and not one stone will be left on top of another. And they now asked him, when will this be? We thought you were the Messiah. We have now discovered that you are not. We thought you were the Messiah, and we thought that you were going to rescue us from the political lordship, the political not. You are obviously the Messiah. You are the one that is to come. But when will these things you are talking about going to be? And then in verse 4, in verse 3, they still went ahead and said, when will this happen? The disciples asked him later, as he sat on the slopes of Mount Olives. They were together with 3 people